Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aleksei Trefilov. I'm CEO of ELMA, and here at the studio, my colleague Kristina Nikiperovich, our product owner.
Hi there.
Today, we will discuss how your own team could run business automation without coding, how it is possible to create business applications to automate business processes without line of code, just with low-code tools and no-code tools. And let's discuss our plan. We'll start with some brief introduction, how the world has changed within the last years and how to adopt in the new world order. Then I will make a brief review about no-code tools and low-code tools. We'll discuss pros and cons, and then we'll switch to our own expertise and we'll make a short review of our own approach, how automation could be run with ELMA 365. We'll watch the real example. Kristina will demonstrate the system and how it's possible to automate business processes without coding or with very little amount of it. Then we'll summarize our today's discussion, and we have some specials just for you, for our viewers today. Please feel free to write all your questions in the questions box. And really today we are going to discuss some common things about low code and about automation with your own team without acquiring some special developers. But our company has a very strict experience in different industries and fields, and we are really interested to know which topics you would like to be highlighted. For example, it could be great if you will write in the question box in your comments that you're interested in, for example, HR business processes or contracts management or something like that, so we could collect our knowledge and prepare it for the next time. Okay, let's start. In fact, within the last few years, the world changed dramatically, and it's pretty obvious, in fact, and it's just impossible to live as we used to do it before, because COVID-19 is not the only purpose that changed the world, because right now every business is going to be digital, and the world is going to be more and more competitive. In order to stay competitive, modern company should be digital and run automation. It's really important to have a high level of IT, really well-tailored business processes, and high level of automation at all. And nowadays, every company is going to hire huge amount of developers to create business applications, workflows, etc. And it's really expensive because salaries of developers are growing and growing, and sometimes it's especially complicated to hire some great specialized in some distant areas, in some cities where developers don't want to live, etc. But you could run your automation without them, with your own team, who is deeper in business and who could create more tailored applications, more well done, in fact. And really changes strongly associated with IT industry. And with growing competition, it's really important to create automation, to create business application, business automation, etc. And the typical picture usually looks like that. There are a lot of ideas how we could improve our business, and sometimes there are a lot of even written documents, collected requirements, etc. But we always have very thin bottleneck. it's all about development. It's all about implementation. And with such approach, we are not going to create a lot of new ideas to adopt to the new world order, etc. But there is solution. Solution is in democratizing the whole process and to giving ability to develop, to giving ability to implement, to way more amount of your employees, to people who are deep in your business, who know how the business could be changed, how the business could be improved. But usually these people don't have enough technical skills, and low-code tools allows to do that without having deep technical skills. And there are a lot of doubts that I could face sometimes. People are telling me like, oh, this just couldn't work. You know, like analysts and business users don't want to create applications. They don't want to do developers' work. But I have a good example. Every one of you use Microsoft Excel. Before that software was invented, I mean, digital spreadsheets and this kind of software, this work was typical job for developers, because different kind of accounting systems, bonus calculators, etc. All that kind of things were task for developers, in fact. But nowadays it's way easier just I don't know, to make some approximations, to calculate something by yourself without asking someone in Excel. And you know, just speaking worldwide, there are a lot of really nice automation approaches based on Excel. It's not the best tool at all, of course, but it's so affordable in all meanings that this idea could work. Really, if you provide employee with a really easy tool, employee will start to act. And what actually is low-code and no-code tools? There are a set of solutions where you could create business automation without writing code in a typical way. You just drag and drop ready-to-use elements. In case of no code, you write no code at all. It's just impossible. You could create new applications from ready-to-use bricks only. In case of low code, it's some kind of symbiotics where you could create solution with no code, but if necessary, you could create new ready-to-use bricks. Just on the slide, you could see ELMA 365. For example, here we could create workflows, just connecting diagram, different activities on a diagram, and determining business logic, and user forms that usually could be created with HTML and such kind of approaches. Let's start to review from some other examples. I would like to tell you about no-code tools. They are really great approaches, and maybe the best solution in this market is Bubble. I really recommend to try it to everyone who is interested in modern automation. It's an approach that allows to create the whole business applications without code at all. There are big library, and just passing a brief study, you could create your own solutions with flexible user forms. You could determine workflows, maybe some simplified mode, but you could. And you could avoid writing any code with using ready-to-use integrations. There are a lot of them in their plugins library. And there are a lot of examples when really complicated and really complex solutions were created using Bubble. For example, on their website, you could find how to create your own Ticketmaster killer or Airbnb killer, or some really nice example of complicated business. So that approaches are not so weak, and you could create really powerful things. Of course, this is question of marketing, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to implement, but it's possible and it's important. There are way more different applications that follow the same paradigm. For example, Integromat is an amazing tool to create fast integrations with different systems and using APIs, without using APIs, and just there are big amount of ready-to-use solutions in the library, and you just connect them on diagram without line of code. That's amazing. And there are a lot of other solutions for different targets. Like if you would like to create applications, okay, you could use Bubble, Webflow, etc. There are some solutions for integrations. You could create screenshots in order to make a review in the future, but after this webinar will be finished, we'll send you the record. So maybe it's not so necessary. There are solutions for working with data, amazing tools like Airtable. I suppose there are a lot of people who are familiar with them. Tools for building websites, and even more complicated things like chatbots, voice bots, and even there are solutions for working with artificial intelligence and machine learning. And development without a string of code is like game changer, because it allows you to increase development speed and at the same time decrease threshold for entrance. It's really easy to start doing that. It's very easy to integrate your systems. Usually it's the most painful part of any development project. And usually that solutions could work in different environments, like mobile devices, tablets, and usually you just don't care what user will use, because they have adopted design. Usually they are quite cheap. They're really low costed, and sometimes in order to start you just don't need to pay anything at all, because there are free plans. And it's the great solution that I strictly recommend to try for just hypothesis testing, and maybe in some cases I won't say that it's completely simple to create some real business solutions without education, without a huge amount of efforts, but it's possible to create solution for startup, especially like IT products and such kind of things. But just discussing maybe some concepts of no code, I would like to return to the question what actually business application is. Some people just confused with that term. I will tell my vision of this word with this term. Automation is not about interfaces only. It's not about workflows only. It's about some complete picture, because usually you need to store some data, you need to run workflows, and you need interfaces in order to control the process, to work with data, etc. Just for example, contract management. Okay, you need database to store your contracts. And since you store your contracts in some storage, you would like to define, to determine workflows, how these contracts should be approved, how they should be prolonged, etc. There are usually a bunch of business processes here. And third thing is about interfaces, how users interact with them, how they could control the data using different kind of dashboards, how we could review everything using reports, etc. And in case of no code, usually you should use the whole zoo of different systems. And sometimes it's quite hard to integrate them, and you could receive very very unstable construction with that, because there are a lot of risks here. And in fact, there are some shortcomings of no-code solutions, because usually, yes, they are really simple, but at the same time, they have really limited functionality. And their vendors are not interested in making them complex, because they are interested in save them as simple as possible. And this is just a question of honor. And solutions have to build of many little parts that you should integrate, and sometimes it's quite complicated. And yes, I told that there is very easy approach to build integrations, but if you would like to integrate low-code, no-code tool with some your self-made solution or some solution that is not supported by vendor, usually you don't have any choice to do that, because vendor is not interested in building such unpopular integrations. And it's hard to customize solutions, and performance is also usually restricted. It's impossible to use it in on real huge powers, even in corporate tariffs, because in corporate plans, because vendors are not interested in that. They are interested in mass market. And usually we have some weak security policies in no-code tools. There are some examples from real products, because their disadvantages are like following from their advantages. And this is pretty honest, in fact. So, but there is a solution, is using low code. When we use all positive sides of no code, I mean, to build your application from ready to use bricks, but at the same time, if we don't have some brick, we have ability to use some developers or create them by request, some new bricks that could be used within that solution. And this is idea of low code. For example, in ELMA 365, we use the next strategy, where your own teammates, business analysts, different kind of business users could create solution from ready to use bricks. And for example, we have really huge amount of them. And since the moment when you are limited with functionality, you have the right to request new bricks from developers or from third parties who are ready to help you with that bricks. And these collaborations allows to create solutions really fast. So usually you are not limited with integrations at all, because you could work with APIs, create solutions, and architecture is more focused on corporate usage. But at the same time, you save ability to create applications really fast. And usually we have, we low-code tools have a little bit higher entry threshold than no-code solutions, but at the same time, we don't have such limits at all. And these solutions are more oriented on corporate usage and have a lot of built-in tools for that. And in fact, low-code for business and IT transforms the whole industry at all, on every step. Right now on the picture, you could see the 5 steps of product development of every automation. Everything starts from requirements framing, then development, then debugging, deployment, operation, and maintenance. And right now, we don't need to use different type of people who can't collaborate, who can speak with all together, because analysts could create solutions by themselves, business users could create solutions by themselves, and they don't need to write a bunch of documents. They could create way simplified documentation, way simplified requirements, and create some interactions more often. and this allows to tailor application for company's needs, not work months and years in order to develop something that won't be appropriate for anyone, and that anyone could understand that only at the end of the path. So just returning back to ELMA 365, I told that we are following low-code, no-code approach. So here you could see our constructors and how we use visual modeling for designing processes and user forms. And our company, in fact, is pretty experienced. We are more than 13 years on the market. There are a lot of companies that work with us. More than 2,000 to 200 enterprises build their solutions with ELMA. And just to illustrate my words, there are a lot of case studies that we could send you by request, by the way, with detailed information and some economics. How low-code tools could be used in really huge enterprises. For example, here you could see Capital Bank is a pretty big bank with more than 100 branches, and they used a low-code approach in order to automate their main processes, such as loan conveyors, credit cards, and internal processes, contracts management, different kind of HR processes, etc. And we help them to reduce the average time of their process in many times, in 3 times, in 6 times, just within the first month. And it has a really strong economical approach. So just to summarize, low-code for business and IT is ability to build solutions really fast with your own team. You don't need to hire huge amount of developers searching for them, etc. Because your own team, who is familiar with your business processes, who know their weak sides that should be improved, could do that by themselves. And this is the great approach to filter and to filter out some inappropriate ideas at the moment when they just implement some prototypes, because some ideas are really bad and it doesn't have a lot of sense to spend a lot of time in order to develop them. It's the great happiness to understand that idea is bad and we shouldn't waste time and efforts just developing it. And it's idea to be creative, to involve the whole team in automation, in building a really innovative company which could be competitive tomorrow and after tomorrow. So you just could generate more ideas and to stay more competitive. So right now I would like to switch to technical demonstration, and please welcome Kristina. Thanks.
Thank you, Alexei. So let's go deeper in detail in practice how ELMA 365 can help to automate your workflows, and how citizen developers and power user may use the platform to automate workflows according to companies' needs. To make more understandable my speech, let's take as an example business trip requests. So let's think how it works in real life. An employee is going to go for a business meeting with a potential partner or client in another city or country. And he or she needs to inform a manager, obtain an approval, sign application for business trip, then get ticket, book apartments, and so on. After business trip is finished, some reports are wanted, and some days you may want to reduce time that employee should spend on preparing to business trip and automate this workflow. So let's say digitize it. And to do it in the system ELMA 365, we first of all need to create a workspace. It's a special section for our future work, where we will have some business applications, business processes, etc. In ELMA 365, there are 3 ways to create a new workspace. The first way is just to download from ELMA 365 store a ready-to-use workspace. The second way is to create it from scratch, or you might upload a file, and if somebody else has already done Workspace, and share it with you. But it's nothing complicated to create it from scratch. You click on this big blue plus and fill in the form. You give a name to your workspace. You can choose an icon and set visibility of your workspace. For sure, while you just prototype in the workspace, it's good to hide this workspace from everybody and to set visibility only for administrators. And when it will be ready to use, you publish it and do it visible. So let's imagine that we created our workspace, and our next step is to prepare our business application for business trip requests. What is business application? It's really important, I would say, essential object in ELMA 365. And let's say it's a collection of similar data. For example, as a business application, could be contracts, invoices, CV, client base, etc. So it's like a data structure. Besides that, business application might be moved not only by users manually, but business process can help here. And in this way, we'll automate the moving of our business application from point where we created it till its logical finish. So let's see how can we create our business app. For sure, you don't need to program a database to create this data structure for each application. There is very easy way to create that database for application in a very simple manner. On the main part of the screen, we see fields. With these fields, a user will be interact when our business application will be ready. And on the right panel, you see a variety of field types. For example, strings, names, yes and no switches, tables, images, files, and so on. You just drag and drop the field type that you need. You give them a name. You can add some description to help potential users understand what should they do open in this or that form. For sure, you can use red asterisks to make this or that fields mandatory. And system will control and ask user to fill in this form. And here you can be sure that all necessary information will be entered. After your business app was pre-built, let's say, you can add some feature using the same no-code approach. To make more clear the naming of business applications instances, you can ask system to generate name of each application's instance by template. Then you can add some settings or restrict accesses to the business applications, or you can add even statuses to control how business applications instance move from stage to stage. And in the end, you'll see kind of this picture on your screen. Business application is ready, it's fulfilled with data, and it can be moved from stage to stage. And users who are going to this application will see the picture and understand what is going on, who is on business trip, who is preparing, and which business trips are already finished. It's good to have this application, but the next step is to move this application automatically. So why do we need to spend people's time on that if system can help? Business process is kind of chain of steps, and some of steps are executed by users, and other types of steps are executed automatically by the system. Thanks to business processes, your workflows can be more transparent, understandable, and clear. It helps to implement rules, manuals, instructions into a digitalized way. So people, your colleagues, your teammates will understand better what they should do and will not worry about whether their colleagues executed task on time or not. The system will check it for managers. ELMA 365 and processes help to streamline communications between people and departments. So, for example, some contract should be approved by a representative of different departments. You don't need to go through the office with a paper and looking for people who should sign this document. You just send it through the system, and person who is responsible for checking and approving document will see it in his or her interface in the system. And if he or she forgets about this task, the system will remind about it. So in this way, we reduce time on routine tasks. Of course, some of task system does automatically without users, without persons. So let's see how does process looks like in interface of ELMA 365. On the main part of the screen, you see field with swim lanes. And on the right panel, you see different types of actions. While you map a business process, you think about participant who will be a part of this process. And for representative of different departments, you put swim lanes and mention persons or departments who should execute this or that task. When all swim lanes are prepared, you may want to put tasks, notifications, etc. on the this or that swim lane. The task placed in a swim lane will be assigned on that person or group of person who is mentioned in this swim lane. The same with notifications. Our tasks is what user will see opening ELMA 365 and go into the section with incoming tasks. For sure, we should think about the interface with that executor will be interact. And let's see the settings which we do in modular, business process modular. It's a list of fields that user can read or add or editing. And the second screen is what user really sees opening a task. So it's quite clear what he or she should do. In this case, users should only approve or decline the request, what he or she gets through the system. Sorry, let's come back. I'm sorry, I want to go a step back and show additional settings. So we saw a form of our business process task and now see settings for setting deadline. For sure, the task can be executed without deadline. You should know how many time should executor spend on this or that task. And we can set it while we map in a business process. So if, for example, executors does the task not on time, the system will remind him or her, or it can be escalated to manager. In this way, system controls that all tasks should be done on time. Okay, we'll see that. And one more point after we prepared business application and business process for it, it's case with interfaces. We still work without code, and we can prepare more attractive form for system users. We can add tabs to divide information, to structure it, to read it easier. We can use pre-built widgets that you see in the right panel. For example, divide on columns, add some panels with header, add buttons, and so on. And in this way, information related to the application can be stored in different tabs, and this makes user experience more comfortable. Talking about interfaces, you can make an interface for reports. We use the same data that we created while we did business application. You do in the same manner, drag and drop data on field to build a report, and you can get a pie chart or some diagrams. Additionally, you can add some buttons which are responsible for starting business processes or creating new application instance, or just a link on resources in the system or out of it. They were still no-code tools, and I'd like to show a small case where we may want to add some coding. For example, while we creating a form of our business trip application, you may want to fill in some fields automatically. And for example, when person who is going for a business trip wants to create a new request, he or she doesn't need to fill in his or her name because the system sees who is initiator and can fill in this field automatically. For that, we need a code on form, and you see it's really one line of coding, and your users are quite happier that it could be typing every time his or her name. But sometimes you need to add some calculations within the process. For example, speaking about business trip, you may want to calculate the duration of the business trip to calculate how much money person needs for being in business trip. And we use script here. All scripts should be written on TypeScript in ELMA 365. We have knowledge base that could help you on the first steps to understand how to create scripts and how it works and what is really is. So let's say it's first level of scripting. But sometimes you can face the situation when no-code tools are not enough to realize all your ideas that you have. And here you can engage developers to help you. For example, to create some super attractive page with coding, with some logics that cannot be preset in the system.
In fact, there are a lot of ready-to-use examples in knowledge bases, and you shouldn't be developer in order to just copy and paste code and just to adopt some variables there. So analysts and business users are usually pretty enough. It's pretty easy for them just to figure out with such examples and create their own code.
Yeah, thank you. Besides, we didn't invent something new. There is very familiar HTML, CSS styles, and TypeScript is invented by us language. So that's for example of coding within the process. Yeah, it's not one line of code, but developers can do it easier. So coming to summarizing, I would like to say that we've considered 4 levels of creating and fine-tuning business applications, business processes, and all in all digitizing your workflows. They were prototyping with very simple tools. Then we looked at no-code tools that could improve your apps and business processes. Then we seen that with a little amount of code, you can improve your user experience. And these 3 steps really could be executed by citizen developers or power users or business people who are familiar with internal logic of workflows, and you don't need to explain somebody else how it works in your company. And on the 4th level, where you need to hard code interfaces, different integrations, or create custom activities. Yeah, here is that place where you can ask developers to help you. And this approach is really efficient for the company because everybody use their power, let's say, and company can reduce time on developing and reduce cost on it. So that's all from me, what I'd like to tell today. Aleksei, would you like to add something?
Yes, please. Okay, let's summarize. In fact, Kristina told everything that I wanted to say above. Just local tools is the really new approach for new world order, because your own teammates could create solutions without hard coding, and our own experience shows that very often people who create the best solutions are heads of departments, because they know how to improve their life. But usually they don't have enough skills to do that, or they don't have developers' time for that. And this game changer, I mean low code, is ability them to implement everything that they really invented, and to create more and more solutions to make their life happier, to reduce amount of manual work, to reduce amount of problems, amount of stress, etc. And finally, the whole automation is also about making our life better. And in fact, you could try it by yourself, because you could go to www.elma365.com, switch website to your language, or in fact, it will be automatically. In fact, click the big button request demo, and you will receive ability to work with full version of system in SaaS mode. So use ELMA365 as ELMA365 as a service in Amazon cloud, placed in United States or in Germany. It depends from your location, and you will receive ability to try everything by yourself. And you could feel free to contact with my colleagues, because we are not only offer you 2 weeks of testing for free, but you could write to us that you are from our webinar, and you will receive 2 weeks free more. So you could try to create your own solutions within the month. And just being honest, it's more than enough to create really powerful things from the scratch. In ELMA 365, you could automate dozens of business processes, of course, not really big ones, or few really big ones. And at the same time, you should feel free to contact with us, and our experts could help you to figure out which processes and which which applications should be created as soon as possible, especially for your business. And we could use our 13 years experience in order to offer you some really good ideas. And just feel free to contact us, because if you are really serious, we could create free proof of concept. I mean, really powerful applications tailored especially for your company. Feel free to write your questions, and right after the webinar, you will receive the record of that webinar, so you could watch it once again. Thank you for your time. And
Do we have questions?
I appreciate, it seems that no. I appreciate your interest in local technologies. So if you have some more detailed questions, please feel free to contact us. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Thank you all. Bye.